Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Morning, Debbie, Heidi, T. Lucas. Nice to see you. Oh man, it is interesting morning. I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I won't keep you guys here too long. Hope you're enjoying your day so far. Waking up early. That's always a good thing. Wow. Just wow. It took them from, let's see, hold on. It took them from last week over the weekend, the entire weekend, before they could try to write a story. Am I still sore? Oh yeah, very sore, Debbie. To write this next story, it took them that long. They couldn't do it on Labor Day, couldn't do it on Sunday. They had to wait. Oh, we'll just wait until Tuesday to tell you about this story. Although it's already old news by now. No, don't be sorry for me being sore. It is the way that it goes. Trump issues statement from Gold Star families defending Arlington cemetery visit and ripping Harris. Oh my. What happened here? We showed you yesterday what exactly had happened. That it was the Gold Star families that ripped into Harris. Now, I've shown you what was said by each one of those Gold Star families, yet they'll just write a story about it. And let's see. AP, I haven't read this yet, so let me guess. AP is going to say, well, this was all Trump's fault. The reason that they even had to have the Gold Star families because Trump did something so horrendous, so horrible. And Biden was just following through on, it was a bad plan in the first place. It's some of that sort. Yay. Really do a dog barking inconsistently at 4:40 in the morning and still barking. Wonderful. Gotta love that. Former President Donald Trump's campaign issued a statement Sunday, and we're just now hearing about it, from the Gold Star families who invited him to Arlington National Cemetery as they defended the Republican and insisted that camel toe is the candidate politicizing fallen U.S. service members. Yeah, no lies detected there. It's the latest volley in an extended back and forth. No, it is not an extended back and forth between him and Camel Toe. This right here was her trying to say something that was completely and utterly a lie. Be very clear on this. It wasn't that she just randomly came up with this thing or completely misspoke or, it's been this back and forth over him going there. No, that is not at all what happened. That right there is not at all what happened. It was very clear that she has issue with Donald Trump, has a very big issue with what exactly happened. And she's trying to politicize it, trying to go after the Gold Star families, because we'll pull it up exactly what it is that she had to say. This wasn't a response to Donald Trump. This was a statement to those Gold Star families. As vice president, I have had the privilege of visiting Arlington National Cemetery several times. It's a solemn place, a place where we come together to honor American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service of this nation. No lies detected there. It is not a place for politics. None were happening there. But she made it about politics. And yet it was reported this week Donald Trump's team chose to film a video there, resulting in an altercation with cemetery staff. Let me be clear, the former president disrespected Sacred Gown, all for the sake of a political stunt, which all is not true. Had nothing to do with politics. He was invited there by Gold Star families to show up. And this was what she had to say. This is nothing new from Donald Trump. This is a man who called for our fallen service member suckers and losers disparaged Medal of Honor recipients, which, as you were paying attention yesterday, is political and also not true. Been debunked. A man who this is the man who is unable to comprehend anything other than service to himself. Projection. If there's one thing which we Americans can all agree is that our veterans, military family service members should be honored, never disparaged, and treated with nothing less than our highest respect and gratitude, which is something that she has failed to do. As the Gold Star families spoke out about. And it's my belief that someone that cannot meet this simple sacred duty should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States of America. No lies detected there. So, see you bye. I will always honor the service and sacrifice of all American fallen heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of the beloved nation and our cherished freedoms. I mourn them and salute them, and I will never politicize them. But you just did. That right there is exactly what you did. Harris on Saturday accused Trump of staging a political stunt, and we just read through all of that. His campaign later distributed images of the visit. This is where it's absolutely stupid. So, as they said, they never saw any sort of scuffle that happened there. Oh, it does show a TikTok video of a visit that was shared by Trump. Shows scenes of him at the cemetery, includes a voiceover of the Republican nominees blaming the Biden administration for the disaster of Afghanistan withdrawal. But the Army spokesman stated this incident was unfortunate, also unfortunate that an ANC employee and her professionalism has been unfairly attacked. Incident was reported to police. How come if this was an attack, why wasn't it videoed? Curious. And as we've gone over this time and time again, this was a political stunt by Kamala to go after Trump for being invited. And the fact that Harris and Biden were not, just goes to show how much respect they actually have for those people. Oh, your baby brother let me make all the phone calls trying to find our brother. So glad you were able to. Good morning, Jackbutt. Good morning, Jariah. Gold Star families have lost loved ones in the military. Trump laid wreaths on last Monday in honor of these fine service members. Did Trump thank the family members for their statement via social media? Thank you for saying you wanted me to stand with you and take pictures. That was your request, not mine. That was all that he had to say. And throughout that weekend, Trump has used his social media accounts to distribute the video testimonials from some relatives who signed the statement. Christine Shamblin, it was a comfort, respectful. Why won't you return your call and explain how you call my daughter-in-law's death a success, is what Shamblin said. Why would you take a day where we celebrate the deaths of our loved ones and use it to disparage not only them, but us as a response to Harris. That was her response to Harris. Biden and First Lady Jill Biden went to Dover Air Force Base in 21 for the ceremony, where Biden was more busy reading his watch than actually paying attention to what was going on. The Bidens met privately with family members at Dover, but only some of the families that were able to make that flight to Dover. The Bidens were joined at the ceremony by several top aides in the administration, but they've never reached out to any of the other people because they didn't really care. How do you explain to your constituents? Yeah, your sons and daughters were killed, and it was Trump's fault. That's what they tried to spin it as. Chamberlain was among several family members who spoke at the national convention and don't care. Trump's appearance ballooned into controversy after a defense official said campaign was warned about not taking photographs, and there was an altercation between Trump aides and cemetery employee. Officials have said since that the employee to whom Trump campaigned staff members verbally abused and pushed aside. Actually, it's the other way around. That person attacked the two Trump employees, the two people, the photographer and the videographer that were requested to be there. All of the videos that were showed at Arlington Cemetery, they only showed a portion of those. And they didn't use those for the part that they didn't use for their campaign was exactly what was requested that they not use for any sort of campaign. Rest of it, him laying the wreaths, every single bit of that can be used. The Trump campaign has lashed out at Pentagon officials. No, they haven't. They basically just said, we're moving on from this. Biden administration was following here it is. Biden's administration was following a withdrawal commitment and timeline that the Trump administration had negotiated with the Taliban in 2020. Of course, let's blame Trump for this. Your abysmal withdrawal. Blame Trump. Well, it was his fault. It was his timeline. We're just following his timeline. We watched the news. We watched the people throwing their children over fences, begging their children to be taken. We find out later that there were American soldiers that were trying to get their counterparts out of the country in a panic. We found out that the amount of security around the area had been pulled out. And we left billions of dollars, equipment, money, ammunition. That is what we left. We left many Afghanis dead after that horrible failure in security. And yet, they will blame Donald Trump for it rather than own it. That shows you their commitment to the United States and its people. Trump said that leaving was the right thing to do, but the administration execution was abysmal. No, he said it was abysmal. He didn't say it was poor. He said he was getting out, but we were going to get out through dignity and strength. They should have done so much different. They should have had the soldiers taken out last. Yeah. Horrible. Yeah. Here we are listening to these horrible, horrible, horrible people. But never fear. Federal workers around the nation's capital worry over Trump's plan to send some of them elsewhere, like to the unemployment lines. That's what I say. Good morning, Volstorm. Afghanistan was a huge disgrace for the administration, so they want as little to do with it as possible. Absolutely. That right there is the biggest part of this. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to see it. They want to hide it. And this just shone a light on it. This was Gold Star families inviting former president because he's actually reached out to them, communicated with them, had kind words to say to them. And then you have Harris trying to use it as a political stunt. It was Trump's plan. Leaving out his plan was a 2-year extraction. Biden just rushed it. Yeah. Exactly. It was more than a 2-year plan. He also told them what would happen to them if they attacked. He wasn't going to play around with them. But federal workers around the nation's capital worry over Trump's plan to send them elsewhere. Let's see, send them elsewhere. Worries of being uprooted from their jobs have returned for Laura Dodson. Other federal workers have long been the economic background of the nation's capital and its suburbs. Well, really? You've long been the economic backbone, so you've been a political hack your entire life. You've been working for the federal government, providing nothing but anguish for the American people. And oh my God, we are the economic background of Washington, D.C. We are what makes Washington, D.C. churn out bullshit. Thank you. During Donald Trump's administration, her office under the U.S. Department of Agriculture was told it would be moving about 75 people going to be relocated to Kansas City, Missouri. Sounds good to me. Spend time with the people in agriculture. Not hard to do. What is wrong with that? Why I don't see as much agriculture in Washington, D.C. as I see in Kansas. I think Kansas has a larger agricultural epicenter. But less than 40 actually moved. A rushed process that failed to consider the need to find homes, jobs for spouses, and schools for children prompted some retirement, she said, and some took other federal jobs, hurting the agency in the end. Sucks to be you. Because you work at his will, just like any other federal worker. Donald Trump can come in there and fire all of you assholes. Make you reapply. And that really sucks, doesn't it? Now, with Trump proposing the relocation of up to 100,000 federal jobs from Virginia, Maryland, and District of Columbia under his Agenda 47 plan. What is this Agenda 47 plan? What exactly is the Agenda 47 plan? Let's see what the Agenda 47 plan is. Agenda 47 from Donald Trump. Let's see. Let's pull it up. The Agenda 47 is seal the border, stop the illegals. Okay. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American industry. Okay. History. End inflation, make America affordable again. Yes, make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Not bad there. Stop outsourcing, turn the United States into manufacturing superpower. Okay. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. That's number 6. Well, let's see. Number 7, defend our Constitution, Bill of Rights, fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to keep and bear arms. 8, prevent the World War III, restore peace in Europe and the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over the entire country, all made in America. That seems like a pie in the sky, so I wouldn't even count that one. And the weaponization of government against the American people. Okay. So far, all of these sound pretty damn good. Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Okay. Rebuild our cities, including D.C., making them safe, clean, beautiful again. Strengthen, modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. I'm still not seeing him. I mean, we're on 12 here, and so far he hasn't said anything about firing anybody. Fight for the right to protect Social Security, Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Keep the U.S. dollars the world's reserve currency. Cancel electric vehicle mandate. No, he said mandate. He didn't say get rid of vehicles. He said just the mandate. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, racial gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Okay. Keep men out of women's sports. So far, I'm seeing here right there that says secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Unite our country by bringing it to new record levels of success. So out of all of these 20 points that are there, out of this is his, what he's promising to do. I'm looking over this, don't see anything that says he's going to fire anybody. Huh. Weird, isn't it? So did I misread this? Where is he proposing the relocation of up 100,000 federal jobs from Virginia? I mean, maybe it's in this. Maybe it's in this. 2024. I'm looking in this thing right here, and I mean, I'll just do something really simple. We'll just do a search for it. I want to look. I've got something else in here, so let's see here. Let's find a search. There's a search tool on this. Control F, I think is what I'm looking for. Control F and 100,000. All right. Damn. Here, I'll show you what I'm looking. I typed in 100,000. So nothing about 100,000 jobs. Let's see. Federal workers. Nope. I don't find anything on 100,000 jobs, federal workers. I mean, what other keys do I need to punch in here? I'm curious. Federal workers, Maryland District of Columbia, relocation. Let's see what we find under relocation. I mean, I'm doing everything I can to find this here. Relocation, paste, relocation. Anything? Nope. 0 out of 0. Isn't that strange that there's nothing about 100,000 workers, nothing about federal workers, nothing about relocating them anywhere in this supposed agenda? Wild, isn't it? The federal proposals stir anxiety in the competitive U.S. Senate race in heavily Democratic Maryland that could determine the control of the Senate. But even with the Republican candidate, calls the plans crazy. So crazy that's not nowhere in the plans. Oh. The proposals could hinder Trump's chances to win Virginia. He lost. I'm seriously looking for where, never found it. It seems like you guys have a lot of anxiety and discomfort within your workforce. Don't know why, but you might want to get that shit checked out. Let's see. Who's acting vice president of the American Federation of Government Employees, Local 304, which represents the USDA's economic research choice. Well, if they're saying USDA, let's see. Maybe they have USDA listed in there under this piece here. Let's see. Let's do a quick search. Nope, nothing under even USDA. Just so crazy. All the anxiety is there, but nothing. Oh, and concerns don't end there. Federal workers are worried about Project 2025 that Trump doesn't even subscribe to. He said it's asinine and crazy. So when they're talking about these things, they're talking about Project 2025. They're not talking about his platform or what he stands for. And unfortunately, he's not going to fire 100,000 federal employees or relocate them, unfortunately. Sounds like a good plan, but sorry. Looks like we're striking out there again. The plan still worries Michael Knowles. Why would Michael Knowles be worried? He says it calls for making U.S. citizenship and immigration services D.C. present skeletal and agency employees, but this would be Project 2025 stuff. So unfortunately, AP can't get their facts right at all. DC has the largest number of, so everything that they've said in this news story and let's see. Denigrated. Oh, let's see. When denigrated Baltimore. Let's see. Are we going to have to go through one of those debunking things again? Paste. Let's see. Debunked. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Trump tags, Trump tweets. Oh, let's see. What it was is Trump tweeted something out. Let's see what it was. Trump tweeted out, but I'm not seeing the tweet. There's always wanting to throw these tweets out there. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Let's see what he actually tweeted out. Representative Elijah Cummings has been a brutal bully, shouting and screaming at the great men and women of the Border Patrol about conditions at the southern border, when actually his Baltimore district is far worse and far more dangerous. Let's see. Where is it? That was at 7:14 on July 27th. And what he said was, his district is considered the worst in the USA. And he continues on July 27th, 2019, as proven last week during the congressional tour. Here, I'll just show you what I'm reading right here. During the congressional tour, the border is clean, efficient, well-run, just very crowded. Cummings district is disgusting, rat and rodent infested mess, he said. Cummings district. If he spent more time in Baltimore, maybe they could help clean up this very dangerous and filthy place. That's what Trump had to say. Weird, huh? They're so desperate to connect Trump to 2025 project, it's scary. Yes. It's projection. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Former Trump is a ruthless leader, retaliatory in all his ways, and what he talks about in terms of really harming federal workers is evil. And nowhere in that document, does it say anything about federal workers? Weird, huh? Former Governor Larry Hogan, her Republican opponent, condemned the relocation proposals as crazy. They would be devastating to the region, the state of Maryland, and bad for federal government. If that were true, yeah, it would. It's like, Trump trying to turn federal government into one of his failed casinos where he thinks he can do whatever he wants. Hogan, who has been long one of GOP's fiercest Trump critics, said in an interview, "I think it would undermine our entire democracy." Yeah, well, then you're not a Republican. You still believe that country is a democracy. Business that provided services to thousands of federal workers fear the ripple effect threat of the proposed changes. Yeah. Amazing how fast that area would clean up. How much how much cleaner it would get in that area if you got rid of all of the people that caused the problems. Businesses that provide services to thousands of federal workers. Now, if there's thousands of federal workers, that goes to show you that maybe there's just a little too much pork there. At Census Auto Repair and Sales, for example, across the street from the Census Bureau headquarters in Sweetland, Maryland, services manager Tay Gibson says his shop would feel the impact directly. Yeah, because you wouldn't be getting the government bucks to fix the cars that the hundreds of thousands of workers that complain about them, the American people, for using automobiles, gas cars, all that kind of stuff. Oh, because it's not okay for you, because you're not important. The American people that put that ass in that seat, they're not important enough to be able to drive a vehicle or afford gas. But you damn sure bet bottom dollar those government workers have their gas paid for. Their automobiles are finely tuned, well worked on, constantly, just so they can, get from point A to point B and talk shit about the American people. Gotta love that. Assholes. I would hate to see the federal workers leave. That would be business leaving as well, and that would affect small businesses like yourself. Yeah. But it would be nice to see. But again, that's not going to happen. Good morning. How you doing? What a bullshit story. I was hoping for something a little bit more. I was hoping that he announced he was going to be firing some people. But no, alas. So whenever I first saw this story the other day, I was like, mass protest. This isn't a mass protest. This is a small amount of people right here. And I'm going to show you the picture right here. And some of this looks like it's staged. Most of the people are just standing around here. And I don't see a big crowd here. I see them burning something in the background, and they've got a pile of sticks and wood. This almost looks photoshopped. I mean, it could be a real photo. It just looks photoshopped. Looks like they're sitting under a bridge. Oh, they block a road in Tel Aviv. September 1st, 2024. Okay, do it on the weekend. I don't know. It just looks fake to me. Let's see what. Oh, just a different shot of the same group of people. A different picture of the same group of people. A few people, they're making out. He's going to get a piece of ass for protesting. There's their mass protest. I would say maybe 90 to 100 people right there. Mass protest. Got it. Oh, well, bigger mass protest right there. Yeah, I see. All those people. Yeah. Weird. Okay. So Israelis were plunged into grief and anger this weekend after the military said 6 hostages were killed by their captors in Gaza just as troops were closing in on their location. The raid sparked massive protest and the general strike of most intense domestic pressure on Netanyahu. Because this only works good for Camel Toe. They really need this win. Biden, Harris really needs to have this win. She is pushing for a ceasefire. She wants to have a ceasefire before election day because then she can say, look, we worked out a ceasefire because they have no wins. Currently, the Biden-Harris administration has no wins whatsoever. Every policy that they've put forward has failed abysmally. Everything from the Affordable Care Act all the way down to withdrawal from Afghanistan. Just every single thing that they've done, they've screwed up, and they need a win. They've tried to take credit for things that Trump did just by stopping, reversing his executive orders and then reissuing the same executive order. They failed at every single turn. And they need this win. And that's why the AP is pushing this story, because this right here tells you all that you need to know about their thing. The largest supporter for a hostage deal, because they know that it takes a while to get these kinds of things happening. They've got small amount of protesters in, whenever they say mass protest, they've got a small amount of protesters in Israel. There's as many wins as FSU. Damn, that's brutal. Brutal, Volstorm. Brutal. Don't worry, I've got some more good stuff coming up. Yeah, this is no win. Well, where else can they get a win? Supreme Court keeps new rules about sex discrimination in education on hold in half the country. And we've learned from AP that you can't believe half the shit that they're telling you. Oh my God, let's see what they've got this time. The Supreme Court on Friday kept on hold in roughly half the country new regulations about sex discrimination in education, rejecting a Biden administration request. Okay. The court voted 5-4 with conservative Gorsuch joining the 3 liberal justices in dissent. Okay. At issue were the protections for pregnant students and students who are parents, and the procedures schools must use in response to sexual misconduct complaints. Okay. I'm still not understanding what the whole sexual discrimination thing is here. The most worthy of the new regulations involving protections for transgender students. Wait, but transgender isn't sex. Okay, there's only 2 sexes. There's male, there's female. There's no such thing as transgender sex. Never in the history of the world is there anything called transgender sex. Okay. The most noteworthy of the regulations involving protections for transgender students were not part of the administration's plea to the High Court. They, too, remain blocked in 25 states and hundreds of individual colleges and schools across the country because of the lower court orders. Okay, I still don't see any sexual, thing here. Rules took effect elsewhere in U.S. schools and colleges on August 1st. Okay. The rights of transgender people. Wait. Okay, so a transgender person, what right do they not have that I have? See, they can vote. They have the right to carry arms. They have the right to freedom of speech. They have right to freedom of religion. I'm sorry. It's just like saying women don't have the same rights as men do. I'm pretty sure that's already been addressed, but hey, maybe I'm missing something here. Transgender people, especially young people. Well, young people are not transgender people. Young people would be young people, men, women, just like transgender people are men or women. Okay, just because you have some sort of identity or something. I don't know. I'm really confused. They have become a major political battleground. No, not really. Most people don't care if you want to chop little parts off your body or add additional parts or any crap like that. They just don't want you touching their kids. It's a novel thought. In recent years, as trans visibility. Now, I have seen plenty of Trans Ams in my life, and all of them are pretty damn visible. Most Republican-controlled states have banned gender-affirming healthcare. No, that's not what that is. It's called child abuse. See, they don't care if adults do it. The children that they're more concerned with. Gotcha. For minors, because that was what they're talking about. They're talking about mutilating minors. Okay. So most states have banned mutilating minors. Wow. That's really difficult for people to comprehend. And several adopted policies for limiting which school bathrooms. Wait. What do you mean limiting which school bathrooms? If there's only two, male, female, what do you mean about what bathroom that they should be using? The boys go in the boys' bathroom, girls go in the girls' bathroom. Just because you identify as something else doesn't change what you are. If you don't like it, hold it till you go home. If you need your own special bathroom, then, well, maybe stop allowing parents to chop off parts of their children and say that it's okay. If you want to do that, homeschool your kid. Sounds good to me. I shouldn't have to accept you any which way. That is a you problem. I am not here to validate you. Tough shit. And barring boys from female boards. Not hard to do. In April, Joe Biden's administration sought to settle some of the contention with a regulation to safeguard gay rights. I think that the gays have the same right as the straights. Yeah, right to keep and bear arms, Second Amendment, First Amendment. I think all the same rights are there. Well, under Title IX, the 1972 law against sex discrimination in schools, because there's only two sexes, male, female, that receive federal money. The rule was 2 years in the making and drew 240,000 responses, a record for the Education Department. The rule declares it's unlawful to treat transgender. No, that's not what it talks about. Makes, not makes. Males, not makes. You know how many of those males have that surgery supported by parents regret it? Oh, a lot. If I identify as a cat, can I insist schools install litter boxes for me? Well, according to what they're saying, that you can. But the Title IX law says nothing about disturbed individuals that are chopping body parts off. The 1972 law is only talking about discriminating against females, not providing a space for them to be. Weird how they've rechanged it, because this rule right here, it does not make it unlawful to treat students that chop their parts up. That's not a right. I have a right not to talk to somebody if I want to. I have a right to speak to someone if I want to. Weird. It does not explicitly address the sports participation of first, you think? Title IX enforcement remains highly unsettled. No, it's pretty damn settled. Federal courts have declared that the rule cannot be enforced in most of the states that sued while litigation continues. So, whenever they talk about that declare the rule cannot be enforced, they're talking about these rules about transgenders that doesn't exist. In an unsigned opinion, the Supreme Court majority wrote that it was declined to question the lower court's rulings that concluded the new definition of sexism, and that's exactly what it is. They're trying to come up with a new definition of sex discrimination, is intertwined with and affects many other provisions of the new law, the new rule. Sonia Sotomayor wrote in a dissent that the lower court orders are too broad in that they bar the government from enforcing the entire rule, including provisions that bear no apparent relationship to the respondent's alleged injuries. In other words, Sonia Sotomayor just said, you people are idiots. This bears no relevance whatsoever. That's exactly why she talking to you. People that like to chop body parts off, especially of children. But there is good news on the way. There is some really good news on the way. And in case you haven't heard it, condoms can't be trusted and boys don't cry in Catholic Paraguay's first sex ed program. Huh. The government can't enforce something. Weird. In Paraguay, ahead of her 15th birthday, Diana Zalazar's body had gotten so big she could no longer squeeze into the dress she brought for her. This is basically her 15th birthday. It's and I can't even say the concierge to celebrate her passage as a woman into Paraguay. Her mother sought to help from a doctor who suspected that growing inside of the 14-year-old Catholic choir girl could be a giant tumor. The next thing Zalazar knew, a gynecologist was wiping down the probe she had applied to her belly and informing her that she was 6 months pregnant. It made no sense who had recently had sex for the first time without realizing it could get her pregnant. Wow. In Catholic Paraguay, which has the highest rate of teenage pregnancy in South America, many young mothers explain to their teen pregnancies to the Associated Press a result of the growing up in a country where parents avoid the birds and bees, talked at all costs, and national sex education is indistinguishable from a hygiene lesson. I didn't decide to become a mother. I didn't have a chance to choose because I didn't have the knowledge. If your parents are telling you, you stick it in, that they're never explained the birds and the bees, that could become a problem. Over the years that Salazar, now 39, has gone from ignorance to shame to raising her 23-year-old son and advocating for children's rights, Paraguay's lack of sex education has remained unchanged until now. For the first time, the Ministry of Education has endorsed a national sex ed curriculum, but in a surprising twist, it's the sexual health education and feminists who are panicked. But conservative lobbyists are thrilled. Why would that be? Why are they so thrilled? Well, let's read on. The curriculum, a copy of which was obtained by AP, promotes abstinence, explains sex as God's invention for married people. Okay, yeah. warns about the inefficacy of condoms, yeah, and says absolutely nothing about sexual orientation or identity. Wow, that's amazing. Like it says, if you stick your woohoo in waha, that you're going to get knocked up and that you should remain abstinent, and even condoms can fail. The best way to not get knocked up is not do it. Not saying that kids aren't going to do it, but it says the best way to do this, nothing more in sex education should be taught. Hey, Toy, how you doing? Oh, you got a new one. What? How you doing? Surprise, Toy. Good to see you. At first, I thought that said Zach's sex plate, but you know that would be wrong. It's chest plate. Got it. We have a very strong Judeo-Christian culture that still prevails, and there's a fierce resistance to anything that goes against our principles, said Miguel Ortiz, a key proponent of the curriculum and evangelical pastor from Capital Ministries, a Washington-based nonprofit that ran Bible study for former President Donald Trump's cabinet. As a new generation of activists campaigning for legal deletion of children and gay people, okay, scores victories across Latin America. Conservative backlash is gathered in Paraguay. The country already has among the strictest abortion laws, punishing by prison time, even in cases of incest or rape. Oof, that's rough. Though not whenever the mother's life is in danger. Laws everywhere now allow girls to, delete their babies, but Paraguay is among the remaining few that say no for Jesus' sake. And Oscar Avila, manager of an anti-abortion shelter for many young mothers in Paraguay's capital, at least recent morning mass girls no older than 15 fill the pews, some heavily pregnant, others with infants on their hips. Critics explain the outsized power of Paraguay's right-wing pressure groups as the consequence of a peculiar history. The conservative Colorado Party has ruled the country for 76 of the past 80 years, including during a dictatorship, openly sympathetic to the little Austrian artist. Okay. Growing up under the dictatorship, I was told homosexuality is a deviation. Okay. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's not hard to understand. A deviation from normal would be a deviation. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it is a deviation from what our bodies were intended to do. Doesn't matter to me whether someone wants to go for the deviation or not. That's entirely between two consenting adults. Doesn't matter to me. Have at it. But if you're complaining that it's not a deviation, it should be considered the norm, well, okay. For adults, maybe that is true. Anyhow, most recently, the rise of the far right in Latin America is given to the governing party's platform of religion, family, and fatherland. See nothing wrong there. New resonance emboldening conservative culture warriors. Conservative, no. They're pretty much just saying this is how it's going to be. In 2017, Paraguay became the first country to ban school discussions about gender identity. Not bad idea. Because what should our schools be teaching? I mean, you're fortunate that you're getting some sort of sex ed, which parents should be teaching. Parents. As if you don't know how this happened in the first place. Maybe, having told your children about it might have addressed these issues. But the last thing that I would like to learn about if I was going to school, wanting to get a college degree, or, maybe even move into trade school, is what someone identifies as. Because to me, that doesn't matter. Only thing that matters to me would be to get an education, learning spelling, reading, writing, arithmetic, maybe some basic economics, maybe how to balance a checkbook, things like that would be helpful. How to budget money, things that are going to help you in the real world. Because in the real world, out here with all the normal people, chopping off body parts is sort of a little odd, a little strange, a little weird, a little kooky. Just saying. I mean, maybe I'm the odd one out here. I don't know. Of course, this senator says the text is very dangerous and it's an affront to science. Well, science says there's only two: male, female. You do have your offshoots of that, which would be like a hermaphrodite, but that's not the norm. And you notice it's not called male or female, and something completely different. Education Minister Luis Fernando Ramirez downplayed the controversy, stressing there was still time to improve the curriculum before enforcing it. There's no expenditure of state funds. No expenditure of state funds on this. Let's not pass judgment until we do deeper work. Authorities assembled teams to revise the curriculum called 12 Sciences of Sexuality and Efficacy, Efficient Efficacy of Education. Effectivity Education, which plans to pilot in September across 5 eastern regions before taking it nationwide. Parents' rights groups praised the 12 books, one for each grade, as a way of teaching morals and protecting young people. So the 12 books are one for each year. So the first year, they're saying, well, this is a boy, this is a girl. That's all you really need to know. Johnny, don't be touching Susie that way. She's a little more gentle than you. It's a real battle for life and family, the true rights of children and the freedom of parents, said the author Maria Judith Torrega. It's the reason parents fought for it to be included in public schools. The curriculum instructs children to treat others with respect and cultivate healthy relationships. Wow. Amazing. But in discouraging contraception and enforcing traditional gender norms, it has become lightning rod for social tensions. Critics say it perpetuates sexist stereotypes. Men conquer, not seduce. Girls have smaller and lighter brains. Boys don't cry easily, and girls don't like taking risks. Wait. Are you telling me that girls are smaller? Girls are not as strong as men? Weird, huh? The books are filled with unexpected claims, too. And it says, boys do not clearly perceive high-pitched voices. True. Yeah, and I will say that I did not realize this before, but it took being married for some period of time that whenever my wife gets like that high-pitched voice, I honestly can't hear her. Something doesn't trigger off in here. Like especially if she's panicked. I mean, all I know is that she's panicked, like freaking out, panicked. Like it becomes indistinguishable. I don't know. There's something weird about that. Masturbation, it says, causes frustration and isolation. Yeah, it can do that if that's all you're doing. So does so does long walks on the beach by yourself. Marital love lasts forever. Well, possibly, maybe between one, maybe not always. Girls should be aware of how their way of dressing makes men behave. True. Female puberty is the body preparing to become a wife and a mother. Yeah. That's usually what it is. Because, girls will be wondering, why are my breasts growing and why do I have this hair and why am I bleeding? Because that's the body's preparing you to become a mother. So we hear it, we just ignore it. I guess. It does happen. Any talk of sex is about the heterosexual variety because that would be normal. I'm not saying that, adult men and women can't do whatever the hell they want to do. Just saying, what is so wrong with teaching children that? Without a truly inclusive education that allows you to understand your reality, it's scary. It's a trans activist who identified as a female at 13, pushed her into indentured servitude and sex work in a country where that identity is not legally recognized. There's no legislation recognizing trans in that country. Weird how that works, isn't it? At a workshop in August, participants voiced alarm over the curriculum, emphasizing the duty of obedience to parents and authorities and urging pregnant teens to confide in their families. Even as sexual assault is typically perpetuated in the home. What? That's completely different. That right there should be arrestable. Now, Liliana, who never got help from her family, they were threatening her not to tell anyone, said, well, it was her stepfather that did that. And we have ways of handling people like that. Speaking on condition that only her first name be used because her case is under investigation. The focus on unquestioned differences carries a political charge in Paraguay. So, I mean, it seems like here, everything that they're talking about seems like they're wanting to get this under control. And if you're lying to your children and telling them that, you should be taking it in a pooper instead of, in the woohoo at a certain age. Well, it gets really weird. Those are really weird conversations to have. Now, I've said this before. If you want to see how things are happening, are going to happen in this country, all you have to do is read stories about what's happening in other countries. You have a choice to make. Choice to say, hey, we'll just turn a blind eye to the stupidity, or we'll do something smart, intelligent here by maybe stopping problems in the United States before they start. But here is another one of those instances where it doesn't look good. Venezuelan judge issues arrest warrant for opposition's former presidential candidate. Venezuelan judge on Monday issued arrest warrant for an opposition former candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, as part of a criminal investigation into the results of a highly anticipated July election that both the ruling parties and its opponents claim to have won. A warrant was issued at the request of authorities who accused Gonzalez, a former diplomat, of various crimes including conspiracy, falsifying documents, and usurpation of powers. What do you think's going to happen this fall? Keep in mind this is a third world country. Sounds really familiar, doesn't it? The warrant was issued at the request of authorities who accused Gonzalez, a former diplomat, of various crimes including conspiracy, falsifying documents, and usurpation of powers. The move is the latest escalation of repression against the opposition in the month after the election. A month after the election. Election officials declared Maduro as won in a third 6-year term in office. Authorities sought the warrant after Gonzalez failed to appear 3 times to answer questions from prosecutors. Gonzalez, 75, has not made any public appearances since the day after the election. His campaign did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Associated Press. Why would they do it? Why would they comment to the Associated Press? Especially whenever Associated Press would probably condone the same thing happening in other places. Prosecutors have zeroed in on thousands of tally sheets known as actas, printouts measuring several feet that resemble shopping receipts that have long been considered the ultimate proof of election results in Venezuela. Each of the 30,000 electronic voting machines used in the July 28th election printed several copies of the sheets, whose information was also transmitted to the National Electoral College. Ruling party loyal electoral authorities declared Maduro the victor hours after the polls closed, but did not publish results broken down by voting machines as they had done in previous presidential elections. The National Electoral College claimed it could not release the detailed information because its website was hacked. Amazing, huh? And how does the AP call elections? Why should the AP be trusted whenever you can't trust them with reporting a simple story? Where they put a twist on the story in a political throw? Government supporters attempted to block opposition representatives from obtaining copies from crucial documents, but it managed to secure them for more than 80% of the machines. Gonzalez and the opposition leader Barrera Correa Machado then stunned reporters and adversaries alike by announcing the documents showed Maduro lost by a wide margin against the former diplomat and published the records online. As international pressure grew to release the breakdown of results, Maduro asked the country's high court to audit the electoral process, drawing immediate criticism from the foreign observers who said the court is too close to the government to produce an independent review. The magistrates of the Supreme Tribunal of Justice are proposed by federal officials and ratified by the National Assembly, which is dominated by Maduro sympathizers. The court concluded on August 22nd that the vote counts published by the opposition were false and certified Maduro's victory. Gonzalez, who represented the Unitary Platform opposition coalition, was summoned to the prosecutor's office as recent as Friday. He has questioned the prosecutor's actions for lack of due process guarantees and accused the Attorney General Tarek William Saab, a longtime Maduro ally, of being a political accuser who condemns in advance. Gonzalez rejected the interview summons, arguing, among other issues, that they did not specify the condition under which he was expected to appear. Maduro has lost all touch with reality, Machado wrote on X after the warrant was issued. The arrest warrant issued by the regime to threaten President-elect Edmundo Gonzalez crosses a new line only that strengthens the resolve of our movement. Venezuelans and democracies around the world are more united than ever in our quest for freedom. AP review of the tally sheets released released by the opposition indicated that Gonzalez won significantly more votes than the government has claimed. The analysis cast serious doubt on the official declaration that Maduro won. The AP processed almost 24,000 images representing the result from 79% of the voting machines, resulting in tabulations of 10.26 million votes. The processed tally sheets also show Gonzalez receiving more votes on 20,476 receipts compared to only 3,157 for Maduro. The lack of transparency over the results. Sounds familiar. Coupled with the widespread arrests that followed the anti-government protests the days after the election. What? Has drawn global condemnation from Maduro and his allies, among who have been detained are Machado's lawyer, opposition leader, journalists, political organizers, and poll workers. Wow, doesn't this sound familiar? The Chilean government on Monday decried the arrest warrant for Gonzalez and reiterated its condemnation of any form of repression against opponents of the dictatorial regime in Venezuela. The Chilean government calls for respect for democratic principles as well as human rights and fundamental freedoms for all Venezuelans. You have what BC? What color of puppy of goofy adult? Okay. This is one country where one dude was supposed to win, but the other dude did. There you go, Crystal. That's about right. That is about right. Honestly, I feel like 90% of news nowadays was written by ChatGPT. Well, that's because I read crap live. And I read these news stories. I just shake my head. Just shake my head on all of this crap. All right, everybody, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee. Give me like a couple of minutes. You know what to do. Grab yourself your coffee cup. Make sure that it's getting filled up, and I'll see you in less than 2 minutes.
Sandy shores, get a tan, Rambo the orangutan. Driving a golf cart, oh man, Rambo is half crazy, yes he can. Well, that SOB's a sight to effing see. Oh, Rambo's rolling, rolling, rolling. Has the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Whoa, Rambo's rolling, rolling, rolling. Has the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Shizzy on the dunes, coffee in hand. Rambo is a loon, and Shizzy is, well, that is too dirty to say here. Shizzy on the dunes, coffee in hand. Rambo is a loon, and Shizzy is that is too dirty to say here, Oh, Rambo's rolling, rolling, rolling. Has the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast.
Effing blast. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing? Congratulations to Caitlin's new edition. Appropriately born on Labor Day. Yes, most definitely. Congratulations to Caitlin. Wonderful thing. And hope everyone's doing well. Debbie, oh yeah, Heidi Bruce. As we chat, we're probably shoving the squeaky donut at you to play. She does this every morning with Shizzy on. She's going on 10. Smooth coat. White. I love it. I love it. This is a beautiful thing. Well, let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, there was something I wanted to show you guys and make sure that I have it here. It's not it. That is not it either. Not it all. Not it either. I just want to make sure that I have it set up for you guys so you can sort of see what exactly is happening. This right here is from CNN, and it has to do with what we were talking about.
Welcome back to the breaking news. Some exclusive live pictures that we're showing you right now of the seized plane belonging to Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Maduro, we should note, is not on board, but the plane was seized by officials for violating U.S. sanctions. CNN's Kylie Atwood joins me now. Kylie, this is pretty extraordinary. This does not happen, obviously, every day where U.S. authorities go in and seize the plane of a head of state. But that is essentially what's happened this morning. Can you break this down for us?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the plane of Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, is now in the hands of the United States. As you can see there, those images demonstrate that it has just landed in Florida. It was seized by U.S. authorities in the Dominican Republic. That is according to multiple U.S. officials who spoke with our colleague Priscilla Alvarez about this. And how this all came to fruition, Jim, is that this plane was in the Dominican Republic in recent months. We don't know exactly why, but that presented the opportunity for U.S. authorities to work with authorities in the Dominican Republic to actually make up a plan and seize the plane. And just to give folks context, this plane is effectively the Air Force One of Venezuela.
So if it's Air Force One of Venezuela, now, in case you guys don't understand the way that it works in the United States, what they call Air Force One is just a regular plane, and it is special. But how you doing? Yet another agenda fund. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Toy. I appreciate you so much. So what this right here is this right here is not an Air Force One. Just like the Air Force One for the United States, although they do have a plane designated for the President of the United States, anytime that the President is on a plane, that is considered Air Force One. Anytime a Vice President is on a plane, it is considered Air Force Two. That's just the way that it works. That they could be on a helicopter that would be considered Air Force One. That's just the designation for that aircraft immediately.
This is a plane that cost about $13 million, the U.S. estimates. It's been used.
And always have to have an agenda. Always have to have an agenda. My agenda is, well, today will be a little bit shorter stream than normal. And I always have
by Maduro to travel around the world, to make visits, to see other world leaders and the like. It's now in the hands of the U.S. government. It's an extraordinary move. The U.S. has for years been trying to disrupt the flow of goods and finances, money going into Venezuela. For example, they have disrupted luxury cars going into the country. But we should note that this is just such a bold move because according to one of those U.S. officials who spoke with our colleague, this is unheard of and sends a signal that no one is out of the reach of U.S. sanctions. So they clearly had their eye on this plane for a while that was being used by the president of Venezuela, and now it is in U.S. custody. Now, the process here is that now that it is in the United States, Venezuela can petition for the plane. So we'll watch and see what happens there. But also, the United States can collect evidence from the plane. We just saw some folks heading into the plane, U.S. authorities heading in there with what appeared to be a recording device. They'll be able to collect evidence in terms of what the president of Venezuela was doing potentially on that plane. We'll watch and see how this all unfolds.
I wonder what he was doing on that plane.
Yeah, Kylie, we do want to emphasize to our viewers, you are looking at live exclusive pictures right now, or almost live. It happened just a little while ago of these law enforcement officials. These are live pictures, as a matter of fact, of these law enforcement officials sort of circling this plane going in.
Yeah, they're basically walking around, checking everything out, and that's what happened the weekend. Yeah. Do they have black lights? I bet they do, and you don't want to see what exactly was happening in that plane. Just saying, you may not want to know what exactly happening on that plane. Ah, I love this right here. This is going to be awesome.
Yes.
What are the steps that need to be taken to fix the damages done to inflation?
First and foremost, stop the overspending. Inflation, high tax.
High taxes, deficits, high interest rates are all symptoms. The disease is overspending. The government spend too much money. There's only three ways to get. One is to raise your taxes. The other is to borrow, which means that they'll tax you on more later. Or the third way is to print money. Now, printing money seems like a painless way to pay for things, but it's very simple. You have 10 apples and $10 in the economy. The buck an apple. If you double the number of dollars in the economy to 20, you still have only 10 apples, which are not, you're not twice as rich. It's just that each apple costs twice as much. And that is tax on the working people because it chews up purchasing power of your paycheck, only to pay for government's excessive government spending. And it balloons the values of, so it's a real transfer from the have-nots to the have-yachts. Inflation is the worst and most immoral tax and always results from governments creating cash. Our government has created about $700 billion worth of cash in the last 3 years. So we used to have 1.8 trillion of bills, coins, and bank deposits. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's up to 2.5 trillion. So that's extra cash, but the economy has only grown by 4%. So the real things in the economy have only grown by 4%. Cash has grown by 40%. So the money supply is growing 10 times faster than the stuff money buys, which creates a bidding war. And that's what's driving up inflation. We have to cap government spending dollar for dollar law that requires my ministers to find a $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending so they can go into their departments, find the ways, mismanagement. They want to spend more here, they have to spend less there, or get a bargain here and there to bring both under budget. Then, and only then, will we stop the money printing, borrowing, and overtaxation and wrestle inflation to the ground. Thank you. Weird. That's from Canada. Amazing, huh? Those that thought Canadians were idiots. Shame on you. So, blame others. Point all the fingers. Yeah. There you go. Crystal, it was only $50. $50, promise. Shame on you. Yeah, this next one I can't play. I really would love to, but it is an hour long. And if I tried to comment it while it plays for an hour, that would get really bad. What is this? Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that reminded me of something. So I don't know how many of you heard about this, but X is just banned in Brazil. Yeah. Maduro was banned in Brazil. Not Maduro, but X. I mean, little man. I can't remember his damn name. Elon Musk. So this move that they did on Elon Musk is sort of crappy, I guess is the best way to put it. What they did was they banned X in Brazil because they said, we're a free speech platform. That's what we're about. We're gonna keep it as free speech. And this here is a little story that someone brought up to talk about it.
Hey, I'm just doing this video totally off the cuff. Have to say something. The Brazilian government just banned X, which means that the handle for the U.S. Embassy in Brazil at USAmbr is now banned in Brazil. Brazilians can't even see the X account of the embassy, and the embassy has not issued a statement condemning what's happened, has not threatened sanctions, has not threatened the retrenchment of U.S. business interests, has not threatened getting rid of the $200 million in foreign government assistance to Brazil. Nothing. Just today, earlier, the U.S. Embassy finally, after, I don't know, almost a year of total silence, on just hours before the Brazil banned it, finally made a public statement about everything that's happened and said, we are monitoring the situation. They are monitoring it. They've been monitoring it. They have been behind it. They have been funding it. They have been coordinating it. Earlier today, I saw a picture of a Brazilian member of Congress in the United States saying he was a censored man in Congress. Well, do you know that the U.S. government actually funded the Brazilian NGOs?
Yeah. Oh, you think this is bad? It gets worse. Oh, so much worse.
The Brazilian think tanks who are part of the legislative development of these censorship edicts and who pressured Brazil's government not to create a carve-out for congressional parliamentarians because it would give a free pass for Brazilian members of Congress to spread misinformation online.
That's so true.
So the U.S. government funded the pressure for the ability to arrest that politician. This is not a case of Brazilian government gone rogue. The U.S. government sponsored it through the State Department, through USAID, through the National Endowment for Democracy, and about 100 different NGOs, university centers, legal scholars, and activists within Brazil, starting in 2018, starting in about October 2018. And first they came for the social media companies, then they came for WhatsApp and Telegram, and now finally they're coming for X. Now, they are between a rock and a hard place, which is why I believe the U.S. Embassy finally issued this pittance of a public statement hours ago before the ban that they're monitoring the situation. And this is because now there's a fire lit under their ass. And I'm sorry, but part of that may have been because I generated over 100 million impressions in the past 48 hours, specifically naming the U.S. Embassy. And I just went on.
Yeah, he did. You also have to remember that now they've taken all of the money from Starlink in Brazil, which is highly illegal because Starlink has nothing to do with X at all. Do you think it's happening in Brazil that the US would be saying, all right, we're pulling all of our money and funding out of Brazil for this? You can't.
On Tucker Carlson, specifically naming the U.S. Embassy. Now, to be clear, I'm not sure if it's the U.S. Embassy or it's the Western Hemisphere. What I know is it's the State Department and State Department dollars. And I have 1,000 of these people in Brazil with confessions that they were coordinating with the State Department while receiving State Department money to do it. Okay. So I don't know the specific wing of the U.S. Embassy because I don't have a security clearance. I'm not a member of Congress who can go in and get it. So I don't know if it's the Western Hemisphere aspect of the State Department or if it's directly at the embassy level. But the embassy is between a rock and a hard place right now because they want X to censor all Bolsonaro supporters, all pro-Bolsonaro sentiment. But they don't want to look like they're behind it. They are. And again, bring me in. I will show you the whole roadmap. And they don't want it to be, and they don't want themselves to have to be in the diplomatic crosshairs of it.
And just keep this in mind, Uriah. This is something also to keep in mind. Is there's such a thing called BRICS. So the American people, just in case you didn't know this, your funding, your tax dollars are going to support BRICS. Big chunk of your tax dollars are going to countries that do not have the United States' best interest at heart. Because BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, Korea, China. Saudi Arabia. I think that's right. BRICS. But our money is going to fund all of that. Mm-hmm.
Of blessing the banning of an entire platform in a huge country on censorship grounds, because the other half of what the State Department does is pressure foreign governments for free speech. Because when there's a party they don't like in power, they promote free speech and sanctions countries for not having free speech because it doesn't allow the U.S. State Department network there to win an election or rise to power or galvanize political support. So pressure cannot let up. At this point, this late in the game, it is far too late for a semi-sympathetic, we're monitoring the situation from the U.S. Embassy. We need a full-throated disavowal, a full-throated condemnation. We need all of the U.S. State Department-funded NGOs to sign solidarity letters that they oppose the Brazil's action. We need affirmative economic consequences. We need affirmative pullback on, we need sanctions. We need the total dismantlement of all foreign assistance to the Brazil economy. It is not enough to simply orchestrate this whole thing, fund this whole thing, and then at the very last minute try to wash your hands clean. Oh, we don't like what they did. You loved every single moment of it until about 48 hours ago when the fire started getting too hot with the PR blowback. Well, guess what? That's not going away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's your response to reports of Americans? Hold on. Slow down, everybody. I want to talk about two things. First, Afghanistan.
Yeah. And need I remind you?
When I talk to my constituents in southern Minnesota, I don't care if they're Republican, Independent, Democrat, it doesn't matter to them. When I tell them, when I was in Afghanistan, you know what our troops were worried about? They were worried about their families' health care and they were worried about their pensions. I said, do you think that's really what you want them to be worrying about? But
he's never been to Afghanistan. Never been to Afghanistan. Never been to Afghanistan. Never had anything to do with Afghanistan. Oh, yes. Well, we got more.
Afghanistan. Yes. Were you the last person in the room? Yes. And you feel comfortable? I do.
She agreed with his decision-making 100%.
That decision was to pull all of our military out first, to close down Bagram Air Base, to leave Americans behind.
Kamala Harris has touted her role on Afghanistan policy. Now she owns it too.
On the issue of Afghanistan, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties.
Our highest priority right now is evacuating American citizens. We have made significant progress in that regard. It is a dangerous and difficult mission, but it must be seen through, and we intend to see it through as best as we can.
What happened? What was the exit strategy? When you were that last person in the room, what was told, okay, worst case scenario, if this happens and our Americans are trapped, what is our plan?
Oh, yeah. And I'm not paid for this. Oh. No, there's more from Tim. There's more from Tim. You want to hear more? Joy sounds drunk. Oh, there's more. Here's this.
So instead of speculating, I want to ask you directly. Governor Walz, are you a progressive or are you a centrist?
I'm a progressive.
Oh, okay.
I think moving for progress is what many are, and I don't think you're tied in that. I think that moves you along a spectrum, but we have to move forward.
I'm going to email this segment to a whole bunch of people.
I'm a progressive. I'm a progressive. I'm a progressive.
So instead of speculating, I want to ask you directly. Governor Walz, are you a progressive?
No. No, he's not. No, he is not. That right there is what to expect. You aren't taking your insurance company. Any of your insurance company. Yeah. This is not gonna show well. Not going to do well in this right here. If you think that, X in Brazil is just one simple thing, listen to what Camel Toe has to say. This is whenever she was on the intelligence lacking in that and judiciary committees. Listen to what she had to say.
The president's tweets and his behaviors about this are just further evidence of the fact that he uses his power in a way that is designed to beat people down instead of lift people up. Frankly, when you look at what he's been tweeting today, directed at the whistleblower, directed at so many people, I frankly think that based on this and all we've seen him do before, including attacking members of Congress, that his Twitter account should be suspended. I think there is plenty of now evidence to suggest that he is irresponsible with his words in a way that could result in harm to other people. And so the privilege of using those words in that way should probably be taken from him.
But doesn't that, play into certainly the hands of, his, I don't know how many Twitter followers he has. I think it's in the range of 60 million who say, well, look, okay, now the rich folks in Silicon Valley are just trying to silence me and taking me off Twitter.
I'm sure that will be said, but we have to also agree that when the president of the United States speaks, her words are very powerful and should be used in a way that is not about belittling, much less harming anyone. And this president has, I think, never fully appreciated that responsibility. And so what we see continuously, including in the last 24 hours, is a use of his words, Donald Trump using his words in a way that could subject someone to harm.
You have a good day,
And
Starzy.
if he's not going to exercise self-restraint, then perhaps there should be other mechanisms in place to make sure that his words do not, in fact, harm anyone. And that's my point. What we want to make sure is that his words do not actually result in harm to anyone.
So, free speech, she is completely against free speech. Weird, huh? Weird that she would say that she's for free speech, but then goes completely against that. September 10th is going to be interesting. September 10th is definitely going to be a very interesting one. Because it's not about free speech. For her, it is not about free speech. It's about her controlling people. This is something that the left really wants to have happen. interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, yeah. There was something I was going to show, but can't. Certain things they don't want to allow you to show. Of course, I already know that I'm about to get about to have some issues happening over here. that's gonna probably cause my channel to get get in trouble. It happens. I'm used to it. I suspect next next week is going to be very interesting. She wants to do to Trump like what happened to Hillary Clinton. Like what happened to Hillary Clinton? What do you think? What happened to Hillary Clinton? Wants to do to Trump like what happened to Hillary. She only wants free speech those who agree with her views. Yes. Well, and see the cool thing is over here, you can pretty much say anything you want to as long as you're not attacking chat or trying to get my channel removed or deleted. I pretty much allow chat to have fun. I got an awesome chat. I really do. You guys make my mornings and my evenings like enjoyable. I've got if the question mark. So because this debate is happening on the 10th, the next few days after that is going to be just a bunch of hectic crap. It's going to be hectic because everybody's going to be fact checking whatever, and there's a possibility, how CNN and all these other places, they like to shut down any sort of channels that can, they can silence. If you show something from ABC, they say, oh, you're not allowed to show that. Sometimes they'll go after channels. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Issues are gonna arise, and it's gonna get crazy. Oh God, that's funny. I just saw something. No, I can't show that. Oh, here. You want to see what's coming? Do you guys want to see what's coming? If this is from Minnesota, Michigan. This is what happens whenever you don't agree with liberal policies right here. This is what happens to your cities whenever you say social justice. This is what happens to your city whenever you say racial justice needs to prevail. This is what happens to your homes, your businesses, whenever you say we're done with You're bullshit. That right there is what happens whenever you say, why aren't we looking into this a little deeper? Whenever you say, yeah, that's social justice right there at work. This is what happens. Jefferson Madeo, 31-year-old immigrant from Ecuador, has been arrested in New York City 5 times since arriving earlier this year. His latest bust was for stealing a pair of pants and a beer from a Target near Herald Square. Asked why he committed the crime, the illegal said, "I wanted to change my clothes, and I think I wanted to sit down and think about my life, about what to do, because this is not a normal world." They commit crimes. He was just one of the 5 illegals in Manhattan courtroom for arraignment one night last week. Across New York City, recently arrived illegals are flooding the criminal justice system at far higher rates than the public officials have acknowledged. Police sources shared with the Post staggering, estimated as many as 75% of the people they've been arresting in Midtown Manhattan in recent months for crimes like assault, robbery, and domestic violence are illegals. In parts of Queens, the figure is more than 60%, the sources are estimating. On any given day, the Big Apple criminal court dockets are packed with asylum seekers who have run afoul of the law. The problem is made much worse by sanctuary city laws. That means New York cops aren't allowed to work with ICE on cases in which they believe suspects are in the country illegally. Additionally, the New York Police Department says it is barred from tracking the immigration status of offenders. This makes it almost impossible for authorities to get their arms around the problem. Experts and sources on the ground say New York City eliminated a tool to get rid of violent crimes. What a mess. Jim Quinn, a veteran former prosecutor in the Queens District Attorney's Office, has told the Post. The sanctuary city is pathetic. It's disgusting, crazy. Making matters worse, police sources say word has gotten out of the shelters about the city's lax bail guidelines, meaning illegals know that they're going to get kicked back into the street quickly after they're nabbed. City Hall spokespersons pointed to Eric Adams' previous call for the city council to change the sanctuary city laws. Last week, Adams said, "Right now, we don't have the authorization to be able to go in and coordinate with ICE. We have to follow the law." Mayor's office also said the city is working with Midtown Improvement Coalition to better police the neighborhood. An NYPD spokesperson said overall crime is down so far this year compared to last year, and added New Yorkers can count on the NYPD's ongoing vigilance in every neighborhood. As a result, the only people who have full understanding of the scale of the problem are the police officers and the court workers who see it day in and day out. I would say about 75% of the arrests in Midtown Manhattan are illegals, mostly for robberies, assaults, domestic incidents, and selling counterfeit items. He said the figure is an estimate because you can't be 100% sure if they're legal or not, because unless you arrest them in a shelter or they're dumb enough to give you a shelter address. Another Manhattan cop said the excluded petty larcenies at drugstores, the number of local arrests involving illegals is easily 75%, noting that most who get caught shoplifting go more for the pricey branded goods. They can't be bothered with low-end stores like Lululemon and Sunglass Hut, he said, adding that illegals are behind most of the pickpocketing and phone and chain snatches the NYPD is encountering. The problem is visible in Queens courts, too. There are days we have so many illegals we have to call for extra Spanish interpreters. Law enforcement at the Queens Criminal Courthouse told the Post. While many of the crimes are domestic incidences or petty thefts, others are far more heinous, sometimes involving gang violence or vicious sexual assaults. The Venezuelan migrant Ulex Damian Guzman and Gutierrez was arraigned in Queens on August 28th, accused of deplorable act of SA against his girlfriend, where she viciously choked her and held a knife to her head. Court documents allege it all happened in front of her child. The same day, Flores was arraigned in Manhattan criminal court for allegedly raping his 5-year-old daughter. He was held on $150,000 bail. Meanwhile, Tren Agora, the vicious Venezuelan prison gang wreaking armed havoc, Hound of the Havoc, was set up shop in New York City, is already tied to hundreds of crimes, including shootings of 2 NYPD cops who were trying to arrest a member in June. The very same pack of thugs has been armed up to facilitate further attacks on the city, smuggling guns into city-run shelters and food delivery bags to evade metal detectors. Most of the people we arrest are professionals. These aren't their first crimes, one law enforcement source said. The cop added that the Biden and Harris administration's lax border policies, combined with sanctuary city laws, have allowed the problem to fester. Crime would be down significantly if there was a wall, and we could account for everyone who comes into the country. And more importantly, throw them out if they commit a crime. Some illegals have become recurring guests in the city jails and courtrooms and often back on the streets to reoffend as quickly as they were captured. They don't care if they get arrested. They laugh if they get sent to Rikers, where they come from. They get tortured in jail. He laughed that while most people arrested in the boroughs are illegals, it's impossible to say if they enter the country through the massive wave that began in 2022. About 64,000 illegals remain in the city shelter and social service system. Illegal arrest numbers in Queens don't fare much better than those in Manhattan. A cop estimated that more than 60% of the people arrested in Jackson Heights are illegals, with offenses involve such crimes as robbery, grand larceny, and assault. Roosevelt Avenue and 91st Street looks like a scene from Casablanca with all the vendors. You can buy food, clothes, toys, electronics, tools, and get your car washed. The NYPD source said of the mass-scale open-air bazaar that has sprung up along the sidewalks. The area has become a third world country, and it seems like City Hall just doesn't really give two shits about what the taxpayers who live and work there. He said Elmhurst, particularly the area along Roosevelt Avenue, has experienced a nearly 22% uptick in crime compared to the last year. Much of it's illegal related, putting in a second place for the worst increase of crime citywide, trailing only Central Park in Manhattan. Business owners and residents of Jackson Heights and Elmhurst say they've watched helplessly as the neighborhood has taken a nosedive into crime-riddled slum. People don't want to come to the pharmacy because of the sidewalks here. The pharmacist at Me Pharmacy on Roosevelt Avenue, while gesturing to a row of at least 50 vendors who have set up shop immediate vicinity. The number of prostitutes have doubled in the last 2 months. They're starting to act like they are all part of the community now. We see them every day. It's like the same people wearing the same outfits. Really strange. Our justice system is already failing to protect New Yorkers and hold lawbreakers accountable regardless of where they come from. But now word has gotten that you can come to New York, commit crimes, and attack police officers and be out the next day. That message needs to change in order to keep dangerous people off our city streets. Some illegals who have been arrested multiple times said they tried the straight and narrow path, but it's just too hard in the United States. I walked through the woods. I kept on walking to the American dream. They tell you about the American dream, but when I got here, I saw it was not like they said. It's not easy here. It's no bed of roses, said Maldino, the illegal busted for stealing from Target. Juan, 45, from Colombia, said he was arrested for stealing French fries at LaGuardia Airport. Gave the city shelter system mixed reviews, acknowledging you can get help at one of the complexes, but also bemoaning theft at the hands of fellow illegals. It's not always easy in the shelters. They steal here. People steal your stuff. The district attorney's office in Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx did not respond to the request of the Post for comment on Monday. Weird, huh? Good morning. How you doing, two awesome dogs? Good morning. Good morning. If only there was a wall, a border, one might call it. Oh well, one can dream. Not to change the subject, but I can't believe I paid $9.99 for 2.5 dozen eggs yesterday. You think your mom must have dropped me, child? Oh, it's going to get worse. If you think it's expensive now, sweetheart, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone. If you think it's going to get better, you're only seeing a tip of the iceberg. You're only seeing a tip of the iceberg. You have to remember that inflation only went up 2.9% last quarter, as compared to the 3.4% that it was expected to go up. So our inflation is doing this. It's not dropping. Although Camel Toe likes to say that inflation is dropping, it's not. It's still climbing. It's just not climbing as fast as they hoped, or they expect, or they were trying to not allow happen. Yeah, there you go. So yes, inflation continues to grow. Whenever they say that, oh, well, it's down. No, it's down from their projected thoughts of what it was going to be. And they'll try to keep that down and all the way up until the election. And of course, then, and here's my prediction. When inflation continues to grow and get much worse, it'll be the cause of the previous administration. It doesn't matter who's elected, whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's Camel Toe Harris, it'll be Joe Biden's fault that inflation grew. Although Harris has been there the whole time and created the problem. If she wins, she's going to blame Joe Biden. If Trump wins, he's going to blame Joe Biden. So Joe Biden's going to get the blame for it no matter which way it goes. They're spamming. Plus, new rules about eggs must be all free-range eggs sold in the U.S. I didn't know that. Never heard that. Things are not going to get better anytime soon? No, they're not. Everything is going to be fun size at the grocery store before long. Well, $5 for a fun size bag of Doritos. You notice they don't have the 99-cent bags anymore. I haven't seen those in a while. I think they raised the price to like $1.99 or some crap. It's gonna get worse. But you can't have things change overnight. That would just be way too much. That would be way too much to ask of our government to get spending under control, get rid of wasteful spending. But yet they can spend millions on government workers. And they get upset whenever you want to talk about it. Whenever you say, hey, we don't like what's being spent. We don't like what's being spent. This is hilarious. I saw this earlier and I got, I'm going to have to, it'll give me a commercial first. Because that's what Adobe does. Yeah. Camel Toe got accused Monday of using a fake accent in her remarks to teachers and union members in Michigan. Harris, speaking at Detroit High School, appeared after one of her voice moments where she became particularly animated when interacting with supporters in the crowd. Yeah. It got weird. It got really, really weird. We're going to have to raise chickens to no, that's going to get worse. You're not going to be able to do that either. You're not going to be able to do that either. Here, let's hear. This is funny.
For generations in Detroit and across our nation, the brothers and sisters of labor have stood together to righteously demand fair pay,
better benefits, and safe working conditions. And let me say, every person in our nation has benefited from that work. Everywhere I go, I tell people, look, you may not be a union member. You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Yeah, weird, huh? Really, really odd that she would talk like that. All of a sudden, she got emblackened, I guess. I don't know. Weird. Weird, if you ask me. She's learning to speak with a new accent. Yes, that is exactly what she's doing. She's learning to speak with a new accent because why is she a serious candidate? She's not. She's not. Oh, and this is always the big question is why is she even a serious candidate? You have to understand there are people out there that will vote R or D just because the name is there. I was like that for a long time. And then my ideals changed a little bit. And I said, well, just because they have R or a D in front of their name doesn't necessarily mean that I want to vote for them. How about I look at the person that I think is going to do the best job to benefit me, my family, my situation in life? And so far, I'm liking what certain candidates are saying. And I don't have to agree with everything. I don't have to have some sort of litmus test of every single thing I have to agree with. But if I think they're going to do something, good for my situation in life, then not a bad vote. What the heck? Quid pro quo. Definitely have to catch up and see that it was my mom's 70th. Oh, congratulations in Michigan. So she was, but that's right. That's right. Wonderful. That's beautiful. But hey, everybody, you have a wonderful day. It's that time that I've got to jump off of here. I've got to go get ready to head out. I've got to do what's called a cry out on the courthouse steps. So I've got to give myself time to get driven there and handle that. I'll have a stream set up for tonight a little bit later on. Got a couple of things that are going to be happening. Something new that I wanted to be cover. Gonna be crazy. It's gonna be something new. And if anything else comes out in the meantime, will make sure to update you guys. Keep it covered. I've got hopefully tomorrow morning I can have a little more cognitive stream. Morning's a little disjointed just because I am physically tired. My body is so sore. Nothing like hanging from the rafters and getting crap in your eyes while you're ripping apart a front porch. That was all that soffit had to come down. But like I said, tonight was going to be a little bit different stream. I've got if I'm able to get the documents that I'm after, it should be good. If I'm not able to do that, then I'll cover some other stuff. There's always news out there. There's always something going on. People are acting crazy out there and they can't help it. But everyone, until tomorrow, tonight, have a wonderful day, and make sure that you hit the like button on your way in and on your way out. Just try to be kind to one another. See y'all on the flip side. Peace.
Now I gotta call somebody to come get me because my car has turned into a spaceship and I don't know how to fly it. I'm not an astronaut.